As a person?
Yeah. Yeah, he's supportive in that way, but he doesn't want me to do it. But
Look, when he goes to Italy, he'll be on the road.
yeah, I have no problem leading with the business because I actually had nothing to do with Beachbody until one day I said to Katie, hey, what's this coaching thing? Sign me up. I'm like all in. So I have no problem presenting it that way.
And all of you guys are going, how come I can't find someone that says that?
Yeah. I'm wondering where the other me out there is too. So I actually have a lot of working coaches. I don't like to sign discount coaches just to advance my rank because I have seen what little benefit that has for me. So my problem, I guess, is I have to understand that not everyone else works at the pace of me. So my thing is taking each coach how they are and helping them with the way that they do it, not the way that I think that they should do it. So that's kind of where I'm struggling.
Honestly, I wouldn't discount that insight because a lot of people with your personality type, it takes a long time to come to the realization that you just
it's hard.
Right there.
So, true story, Michaeline, whenever she was getting ready to sign as a coach, the first time we met was at a coffee shop and she locked her keys in her car and I was like, this girl belongs on my team. This is exactly what we are. True story.
Yeah, everything. I was like, I have nothing. Do you like buy my coffee? Which I still owe you.
I don't think you got one. I think you were like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I couldn't. But that's like me. That's just me.
Okay. Your turn. This is Alex. You guys all know Alex?
I'm Alex. Alex Bunton, the region manager with Kim and East Side, so I'm here.
So you
I
work
with 2 to 5 stars right now.
I'm Christina Thomas. I just went diamond, October 31st, by the skin of my teeth. And then I'm working towards 1 star. Actually, Christina is my diamond under me, and I'm kind of like in the same position as Christina, the other Christina over here, where I have a diamond under me. It's just a matter of having that stable
Or we
business.
could use those discount coaches, but she just
No.
right?
I kind of have the same mindset as Michaeline. I'm hesitant to bring in just discount coaches purely for discount because that makes me really nervous because I want my business to be stable and that's kind of where I want to go is continue to bring in customers and help them. I think in August I had like a come to Jesus meeting with myself and was like, I need to get back to basics because I was just so focused on advancing that I lost why I started and to help people transform their lives. So I've been really pushing for that, and I want to find those diamonds in the rough and figure out how to pull those people out and move forward.
So let me ask you guys a question. Gals, question since I'm looking at you. And I want you to give me, before you answer, I want you to just think about it for just a second, because I want you to give me a truthful answer, as opposed to a lie, I guess. But no, what I'm saying is I don't want you to tell me what you think that I want to hear, that Katie wants to hear. I want you what's true to you. So, what does it look like to be successful as a Beachbody coach in your mind? Like if you were to say, look, this is what success is for me. I'll know I'm successful. This is what I'm doing this or seeing this. And I'm not going to do an argument, just raise your hands. We're now to the more informal part of the discussion.
I think when I'm consistent and every day doing the things that I know I need to be doing, and because of that, I'm bringing in more people that are interested in what I'm doing. I'm building people that will, I guess, kind of like where Katie has gotten to in the last few months is like people that are finding me because they're inspired by me.
To build off of that, when my challengers are like, look, I know you have like 500 Beachbody coaches on your page, but you need to find Christina because she will call you at 5:30 in the morning and tell you to get out of bed. What are you having for breakfast? And they wake up and can't wait to see what's going on in the challenge group. Like when I first started my first challenge group with Katie and Kirsten, like I could not wait to get into the challenge group because I knew I was going to learn something, and that's successful to me because that's inspiring. And I think inspiration and success go hand in hand with this business. And if you're not inspiring, you're not successful. You could be in the
and your challengers, and everybody's learning from you.
Good, good.
I think the engagement and people coming to you and trusting you. I just think, like you said, it's the holidays. People are getting silent, and or even you talk to someone, they're so into it, and then nothing. Being that inspiration and getting people to commit and believe in you, for me, is success. That's something I've definitely struggled with, is that people trusting that I have something valuable to give them.
Okay. Okay.
I think helping, I created my life page, and then I did like a whole twist on it a few months ago to help Katie. My son was diagnosed with autism in March, and so my life page is Fit Mama Speaks. So not only am I talking about health and fitness and clean eating, but also speaking about autism, raising awareness for that. It was a really big step for me, because it's not that it's a secret, but it's a huge step for me personally to come literally public and put me out there. And I feel like I want to be inspiring to not only those in health and fitness who are trying to do that, but also help other parents who are going through the same good, bad, and ugly, not just with health and fitness, but with something like that. So I feel like being me and being real has really helped people, because I've had people come to me, not even health and fitness related whatsoever, but talking to me about autism, and then maybe Beachbody eventually starts getting brought up, but just being real, you know, and being, so
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's helped.
Going off of that, when I have people that I honestly don't know, they're on my Facebook page, and they have family, they have friends, they have people that they can't even know and meet, but they're coming to me for help, for anything, for inspiration to get healthy, or just to be guided. That's something that you can't find in a store. That's how you mark success.
Good. Good. How about you?
I think that going along with what they say, because I know that helping people and like inspiration stuff is obviously super important. And I think that just having the awareness of what Beachbody is actually about, as opposed to what everybody else thinks it's about, is really important to be successful. And also, for me, it would be, once my business is like a well-running machine, that I'm not like frazzled 24/7 trying to put everything together, to me that would be successful, because then I would be able to focus on what I think is more important, talking to people and telling them, like, look, this isn't just to like buy some shakes and, you know, lose a couple pounds. Like, there's a lot deeper meaning, but until like my business part of it's organized, like I feel like I can't get to that point. So that would be success to me, is like walking out of my basement and everything being like in a nice pristine pile and knowing what I'm doing. Instead of like,
so let me make some observations if I can. And I appreciate you guys sharing that. Honestly, I really do. I know it's hard to have a guy who's never been working and ask you questions, and you have to like open up a little bit. But I appreciate you guys sharing that. That does help. I think it's for what it's worth. I think you guys are all in a great place. I'm going to ask you to be a little more patient with yourselves in the business, because these things don't happen overnight. Okay. A lot of times when we look at other people, we start to kind of base our success off of other people, even off Katie. And we start to measure that, our own success, off those people. It's a real difficult place to get into, because, Katie has set a high water mark for you guys, and she should. She's the leader of your team, right? But if you ask her, she would tell you, first and foremost, all things she struggles with first, but she probably does. She talks to you guys, I know, like openly as everything else does. But that's good, right? One of the things that I'm a big believer in is that there's a danger of having external measuring sticks, where we look at other people and, well, they've been here as long as I have, or this and this, and how come I'm not? And the reason is because, guys, everybody's life is a little bit different. I mean, this is a people business. You guys have all said that. When I said, what is success look like? It was it's people. That is one of the most amazing things about this business. Is also one of the most frustrating things about this business, okay? Is that it is about people, and everybody's different. And so I want to encourage you to think in terms of maybe, okay, an internal measuring stick. Because the person I'm trying to battle I'm trying to beat is myself. I'm going to try to be better today than I was yesterday, okay? And as goofy and cheesy as that sounds, and it sounds like the Tony Robbins, walk on coals type of speech, there's a lot of truth to that, if you'll believe me when I say that. Okay? If you can get in the habit and discipline yourself to try to beat you, then that sets you on a different path than trying to be better than other people. It sets you on a path to be great. We talk, we'll talk, I talk, we talk, it is spoken. This idea of that the enemy of great is good. When we compare ourselves to other people, we're on a path to be good, because it takes satisfaction in being, well, look, I was faster to this rank than she was, or my income's better than this person at this rank. And it helps you be satisfied by other influences outside of you. But if you want to be great and really do the things you guys are talking about when it comes to success, that's the reason why I asked you that, that's in here. That's pushing yourself to be better than you were the previous day. That internal measuring stick where you hold yourself accountable is where that starts. And so it's a habit you have to get to. So what I want to introduce you, I want to talk to you about, there's a couple things I picked up on. First of all, you're all young enough in the business, and I'm not talking time-wise, I'm just talking about the growth, the learning process you've been into, that I'm hearing a lot of the same things, right? You're learning how to move people up a commitment path from discount coaches or not having them, right, to active coaches. I know what you're saying. I'm just
becoming a coach.
I'm just joking.
Preach me that trick.
But,
It's actually
but,
not that
guys,
hard.
these are common things, and I want you to take I want you to take a little bit of solace in this to know that you're not doing anything wrong. Okay, you're not in a bad place. You're in right where you should be, right? Helping people move up a commitment on this ladder of customer to discount coach to coach, that is something that you learn to do and you will get better at with time, right? Now, that doesn't mean we stop working on it, but you will get better on it with time, because you'll find that moving people up that commitment path is 80% you and how you work, and 20% how they think, okay? And so, and that's a whole nother training that we can talk about in a later time. There's something else I want to go at right now with our time that got together. Because when I listen to all of you, one of the things I think, and in speaking with Katie beforehand, I think will be helpful to you guys, is some general concepts in regards to leading ourselves. Because one of the common pieces that I heard with all of you is part of this journey that you guys are all on is sometimes you're a little unsure. Sometimes we kind of question ourselves. You might even doubt yourself a little bit. You might wonder if you can be successful with this, all that kind of stuff, right? And those feelings are expected for people who have big hearts. And you said you guys are on Katie's team, you all have big hearts, because she will only attract big-hearted people too for business. Okay? And so I want to talk through a couple pieces that might help give some shape to some action items for you. Okay? Specifically, I'm going to talk about 3 disciplines. Okay? And these are the 3. Well, don't write it down yet. You don't know if there's any value to you.
I was
Okay?
like, man, there's so many.
Let's
You're saying
go.
3.
I must
writing
have 3
3
disciplines. Okay, well, you wrote it all down. All right. But these are disciplines of self-leadership. Okay? And the reason, the opportune word here is the word discipline. These are not traits or character. These are things that you're going to be working on a continual basis and kind of refining. And when you feel like you're kind of off center, when things aren't working, the first place that I'm going to have you go, and probably I'll ask Kay to do with you too, is to go back to these 3 disciplines. Because chances are you're off kilter in one of these areas. All right? And let me tell you what happens. The more effectively that you can lead yourself, you will find that you're a more effective leader for other people. You can move people up a commitment ladder, if you will, a lot more readily, because you're able to lead yourself more effectively. Okay? It sounds kind of weird, but there is a direct tie there. Okay? And a lot of times when you feel kind of like rudderless, like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm figuring this out, and it's just like I have no control whether I can be successful or not on this. It bases itself again on these 3 disciplines. Okay? So to start with, I always start with the why. Okay? I'm going to bring out my whiteboard.
I knew it was coming.
It's coming. Okay. So I'll bring out the why. Okay, I always start with this. And the reason is because if you have not got a meaningful why for your business, then that's your North Star. That's your rudder that keeps the ship going. If you're going to lead yourself, you have to know why the heck you're doing what you do. All right? Or you won't. It's just, it's a country club you're involved in, not a business.
Can I say something too with the why? So sometimes you just have to revisit it. So if you can't say what it is, or if your why right away is because I like health and fitness, and it's the same thing with your coaches and their downline, you have to revisit it, and you have to really think about why the heck am I doing this? Because this is not the kind of business you get into where it's just you're selling a couple baskets or you're selling some makeup or something where it's quick and easy retail. I mean, this is a business that takes time to grow, and your why has to be so rooted in you that it's bigger than just I'm going to give up because it's hard.
Absolutely.
So you have to have that why. So the first thing that even with what he's saying is go back to it. Go back to your why today, this afternoon, before we kind of meet again and before we talk again. I am going to be hounding you about the why, the bigger reason why you're here.
And you'll know, Katie's spot on. You'll know when you have an effective why when there's an emotion attached to it. And you'll know your real why might be the one you have a hard time sharing sometimes with people. Whether it's pain, anger, love, joy, some type of an emotion to it. That's a meaningful
The one that makes
why.
you tear up.
That could be one. Like, for example, I'll give you a quick example. Like, a lot of times when I talk to coaches, it'll be, I'll give you a specific example. I want to spend more time with my kids. That's a good why. Who doesn't want to spend more time with their kids, right? My follow-up question now is like, that is really cool. Why is that important to you? And then they'll say, well, I want to be, and then I usually have to ask you 2 or 3 times until I finally get down to that core. And the reason why it's so important for Katie is because you have to know it. It can't be enough to just to feel, well, I love my kids, I want to be around them. Right? It's got to be something that really matters to you. I'll give you a quick example, and I won't let this sidetrack me, but I go 0 to tangent with very little prompting here. So one of the things, there was a leader in Florida who was having a hard time with it. She gave me kind of a softball why. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Okay, tell me about that. It was with her kids, right? And I could not get her to crack. And so finally I tried a new tactic with her. I said, well, tell me something that makes you really pissed off that's related to the Beachbody business. That if you do this with Beachbody, boy, you're going to be so excited because it's something that pisses you off. And it took about 2 seconds. She goes, you know what pisses me off? It pisses me off those moms that can stay home with their kids, that go on the field trips, and they take pictures and post on my Facebook page. If I'm at work, I feel like a crappy mom because I can't be there with my kids. And I was like, and she was like red-faced. Like she was mad. And I said, so when you can stay home with your kids, are you going to post Facebook pictures? She goes, I won't do it. I'm like, and I was like, that's your why. As goofy as that sounds, for you to be able to say, I'm going to stay home with my kids so I can go on field trips and I'm not going to post those Facebook pictures because that's a jerk thing to do. As goofy as it sounds, because for her there was a real emotion to that, guys. Okay, so there's not a cookie cutter why. You got to find that. Okay. And I always start there because a lot of people then say, well, how do we take our why and actually turn it into actions? Okay. And honestly, it deals with taking a why and then learning to be disciplined to be able to bring about outcomes related to that why. So the first discipline that we've got, and I'm going to kind of write this because this is where we connect our why to our business. The first discipline is the discipline to be completely committed to a desirable outcome. Apologize for my chicken scratch. Now, there's a couple things here I want you to look at. I want you to think about this. Remember, we're talking in terms of discipline. Okay? Discipline. What this looks like is when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Okay? So taking it down from, well, let me stay at the theory level real quick. That to be completely committed. When I say something, I'm going to do it. Okay? When I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to be committed to this to make sure this is done. The desirable outcome portion of this, that's what ties back to your why, right? If this desirable outcome or outcomes isn't related to your why, it's not going to do anything to you. So you've got to make sure you've got to be disciplined to set those outcomes and have them be tied to the why. As a leader, guys, you'll have coaches who will think it's connected, and it might be for a minute, and then it's going to come disconnected. And you've got to kind of slam it back together with them a couple times so they get in the discipline of connecting those two things, right? And like Katie said, your why can evolve over time, guys. And that's okay. And that's kind of some of the work that comes into place. To be honest with you, when I'm looking at you guys, just from what you're saying, what I know from Katie, this is probably going to be one of those disciplines that's going to be pretty easy for you to do kind of naturally, right? You commit pretty quickly and easily. In fact, you probably overcommit to some people where you're doing more than you should for them, okay? So I'm just guessing you're knowing you guys and knowing the personalities that I'm seeing. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Where I want to spend less of my time is on the next two disciplines, okay? The second discipline is a discipline to control the control. Okay? This is going to be a big one for you guys. Okay? Just hearing you guys all talk around the room. What it is, when you're in a people business, like this one especially, okay, a lot of what you need to have happen is out of your control. And that frustrates the crap out of you. Okay? And so, and there's also an emotional side of this business that for big-hearted people, like a lot of you guys are, that your first inclination, naturally, your personality, is to go after things largely that are under your control. Like, we're just having a bad day. I'm concerned about this coach. I've got to go do things that you're helping others try to get control in their life, but you can't really control that outcome. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you guys? Okay? And so, in fact, what a lot of you probably do, and I'm not going to point out any fingers, but a lot of you probably wake up and spend most of your Beachbody time initially doing things that are, what I would say, are outside of your control. Helping this coach, I'm doing this, I'm checking on this, I'm doing this stuff. And in your mind, you're thinking, well, the things that I can't control, you almost wait till the end of the day. Well, once the kids go to bed or once it's done, then I'll get on my Facebook and I'll do my posts and I'll do this and this. What I want to challenge you to do is to flip that. Okay? And the reason is because the things that you can control deserve the best of your emotional energy. We're talking now about emotional energy management. Okay? When you're in a people business, one of your most important resources is your emotional energy that you give to people. Okay? And big-hearted people give that very freely, probably more freely than they should. They get kind of undisciplined in how they control that. And so what I'm going to say to you is the discipline is to flip it on its head. What I'm going to give my best, fullest, most emotional energy, full self to are the things that I can control first. Okay? Taking that down a little, what that looks like. Because I want you to say, okay, again, to practice getting this discipline, I'm going to identify a couple of my desirable outcomes, my goals, right, that I've clearly tied to my why now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose, I'm going to identify 8 to 10, probably no more than 10 tasks that I can control. That's the most important part of that I can control, that are tied to that goal that I'm trying to hit. And I'm going to discipline myself that whenever I spend time on my Beachbody business, those 8 to 10 things get my attention first. So I'm going to get out of the habit of going to the things I can't control first and saving things I can't control for later. I'm going to flip that around. And the things I can't control get me when I'm at my strongest. Okay? Does that make sense? Following up, Facebook post, whatever it is that you guys determine. This is where you work with Katie on kind of making sure those tasks are on point.
That's that power hour too. Remember, I have a list in that Knockout on Fire. Go back to that list and see if those are things that will work into the tasks that he's talking
Okay.
about.
But see, that's the discipline we're talking here, guys. Okay? Talking through this. Now, the third one, I'm going to spend I cannot write upside down. Okay? The third one is a discipline to be fully accountable. All right. Now, just like this one right here, okay, your personality speaking collectively to all of you, this is probably a pretty easy one. You commit pretty easily. You also, in your mind, are pretty fully, are accountable really easy, but I want to make sure I'm clarifying what I mean by being fully accountable. Okay? Because there's a line here. Okay? I'm going to use this now. Look at this. Hope Mary doesn't kick me out for this. Okay? So on your personality, this over here, we're going to call this, and I cannot write upside down, but this side of your business over here, this side of your personality, excuse me, this is kind of the dark side. I was telling Katie this morning, this is your inner Darth Vader, right? This is the part of your business, this is, part of your personality that works for you, okay? When we're fully accountable, the idea is that we're going to stay on this side. This is the positive side. This is the good side. This is the side that works for us in our business. It's the happy side of it. It's the people side that attracts people to it because we're just genuine and we love people and we want to help them and all that kind of stuff. This side over here takes it the form of self-doubt, self-deprecation, bad-mouthing ourselves, thinking bad of ourselves, we're not capable of doing it, all that kind of, this is the dark side of your personality. So when we talk about in terms of being fully accountable for this group collectively, okay, this doesn't apply to every personality type, okay? Ones that tend to be more linear is a little bit different, but you guys collectively will do it this way. This is how I want you to approach this fully accountable. Being fully accountable, the discipline, I guess, talking on a principle level first, is to say, look, I'm going to be completely committed to something. I'm going to identify what I can control, and I'm going to be accountable to make sure that I'm doing those things. Because I can't necessarily control the results, the outcomes, but I can control what I do. And I'm going to be accountable for those things. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. At the end of the day, every day, okay, I want you to go find 5 minutes of quiet time someplace in your house. Lock yourself in the bathroom, go get in your car and park down the street, whatever it takes, 5 minutes. Maybe after the kids have gone to bed, I don't know. Whenever you can find 5 minutes to yourself. No more than 10. The time's important, okay, for this reason. But I want you to go find, I want you to just take a second, clear your mind, and then I want you to ask yourself one question. Okay. Did I win the day? Okay, so I'm going to put it over here. Okay, for your own self, win the day. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, to answer that question, you are going to go back to the tasks that you could control. And you're going to say, if I did those things, if I did them first, if I did them the way I should have done, not the outcomes, guys, because sometimes those are out of your control, but if I did those things, then I win the day. And as weird as it's going to sound to you, I want you to honestly take a second and congratulate yourself. Say positive things to yourself. I did a good job. I kicked butt today. I'm awesome. Maybe do a little happy dance, whatever it is, but do some kind of a little mini celebration for yourself, okay? And I'll explain why in just a moment, why that's important, okay? And then, good. Go to bed, clear heart, clear mind, heart's at peace. Wake up the next day and try to win the day the next day. If you ask yourself that question, did I win the day? And you're like, kind of got away from me today. Didn't exactly happen, okay? You look at those things, and I didn't get these first. I kind of got sucked down in a tangent. This is what we're going to do. We're instantly going to go into diagnosis mode. Diagnosis mode has no emotion, okay? There's no emotion in this. It's, okay, well, what happened? How did it get away from me? What can I do better? Okay, let me just look at it. And the reason why the emotion is important to remove from this as best as can is because with big-hearted people, especially, emotion starts to muddy up what can be done to fix it. Because we start to tie our own self-worth and abilities into tasks. We can't do that. So we look and say, okay, this is what it is. So tomorrow, here's my game plan. I'm going to this is how I'm going to win the day tomorrow. And then we're done. We go to bed, clear mind, heart's at peace, and we say, we're going to win the day tomorrow. Does that make sense? Okay? And the idea is that when we're fully accountable, we're trying to win more days than we lose. Okay? Does that make sense? And if you look at what these disciplines have done, all we've done here, guys, is we've aligned all of our activities to our why and the outcomes that we're trying to do. And then we're also then doing something important that will impact recruiting. And this is what I'm going to talk about. This is all down in this area right here. Okay? A lot of you guys have mentioned recruiting. Well, not all of you, but a lot of you mentioned kind of recruiting people of escalate, commitment, ladders, things like that. I'm going to say something to you that I think I mentioned in the beginning, but 80% of that is you. Okay? Now the good news is that means you can really have an impact on it. Okay? Let me tell you what I mean by that. When it comes to both of those things, moving people up, escalating up a commitment ladder, and also just recruiting in general, there's a real, let me put it this way, people will buy into you before they buy into Beachbody. Okay? And so really when you're out talking to people, helping them get started or move up this commitment path, they're buying into you first when they take these steps. And so what they're reading, even if they're not aware they're doing it, they're looking at your demeanor. They're looking at the words you're coming out of your mouth, but also how you're saying them. They're looking at kind of your attitude and how that is. And if those things don't connect, if you're like, I am so excited to be part of Beachbody, you're going, I hear what you're saying, but you need to tell your face, and their mind, okay? There's disconnects there that happen, okay? And that will be very difficult to overcome when you're recruiting or trying to help people move up that pattern, okay? So this is where this being fully accountable is really important to you. So how do we create an attitude or an environment, a culture of winning, of positive, of optimism that's sincere, that's more than just words that are on a screen coming out of their mouth? Honestly, guys, it's internal, okay? Especially for big-hearted people, it starts really with how you view yourself. and this is not going to be one of those Dr. Phil moments. You know, I'm not going to big cry and talk about your parents and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I want you to think about this in this concept again. Okay, you all have a part of your personality that works wonderfully for you, which is that sincere, people-oriented, all that kind of stuff that resonates with you, that you're good at by nature. You can connect. When someone's in, they're in. They know that you've got their back, and you're probably going too far, doing more than you should for them, and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole other training, right? But that's the part of your personality that works for you. What starts to work against you is this dark side of your personality, which is when I can't control how those people turn out. Well, it must not be them because they're such good people. It must be me. I'm not a good leader. I'm not a good person. I'm new at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't run a good challenge group. I don't know this. I can't be as good as Katie doing this, right? I can't be good. All those external measurements, all that stuff ends up happening. So let me tell you what ends up happening. That's that belief that you start to build in yourself, in that quiet part of your mind that you don't really ever confess to somebody. It comes out in your facial features. It comes out in how you talk to people, how you carry yourself. And that part of you can work against you in a very real way. So what we're trying to do is diminish this and increase this side. So that's the reason why that win the day concept is very important for you guys, and why that little happy dance, congratulate myself, is very important. Because when you do that, when you take the time to do it, and you guys, I know you won't believe it, but just trust me, try it. Try it for 2 weeks and see what happens. You give yourself kudos, hugs, whatever it is, you feel good. You'll kind of laugh about it, but it makes you feel happy. You start to string together every day little wins like that, and you start to build momentum for yourself on this side of your personality that will change your demeanor, that will change what you're putting out to people. And you will find that recruiting becomes a little bit easier. People are upgrading commitment, they want to know more about what you're doing because they're very attracted to what you're putting out. The reason why that part of the discipline on the dark side of your business, we're going to say we're going to go clinical, we're going to take emotion out of it. Because just like you can build momentum on the positive side, you can also build momentum going the other way. When we let ourselves get too hard on ourselves and too much in our dark place. Does that make sense? And so you guys are all at stages of your business right now where this is going to be a very important part for you. Okay? Because honestly, one of the steps that you'll need to take to boost your own ability to lead people is to get this kind of a discipline in place. Because your own personalities are going to attract more personalities like yours to this business. And they are going to struggle with this very same thing that you guys are going to struggle with right now. Okay? And so all we've done today, guys, all the stuff I've shown you are just common sense things that I know you know about. There's nothing I've said today you haven't heard before. What I'm trying to do is point out how this all aligns to your why and take maybe some concepts that are a little hard to wrap your head around and give them some form and some shape so that you know what to do. So if I'm you, this is the takeaway that I got from this. If I can't go through these things and write out, honestly, write out ones for each one of these pieces, or at least these first two, that's your starting point today. In fact, that's probably what I'll suggest to Katie too for you guys is make sure the why is done. When Sherry told you she's going to follow through on that, right? Make sure you've got goals or these desirable outcomes that you know exactly how they connect to your why. Okay, but those are also written out. Then get those 8 to 10 or 5 to 10 daily activities that you can do written out on paper or on your phone or someplace where you've taken the time to articulate them. Get those lined up and start working on that discipline to get that. Those be the first things you do on a daily basis. And then use this concept of winning the day. Okay, where we start to use our personality for us, so it's not working against us, all right, and building that momentum on that side of our life. Does that make sense? That's the takeaway from all this. And a lot of the things that you guys have brought up today, as goofy as it sounds, is really rooted in these concepts right here. So you guys, first of all, again, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not in a bad place. You're not hopeless. People that have been successful in this business have all had to walk a similar path. It's just kind of the part of the price of leadership that you pay to learn about yourself. Okay? And so you're doing a great job. Keep about taking names, and just keep going. Okay? Any questions about this? Now that I've like verbally vomited all over the table here and written all over the table.
Really did. We're actually running a table.
Yeah. Any questions or things you want to ask? If you don't, that's okay. You can always message me on Facebook.
Because
I should do podcasts.
yes, because I just got like a ton of stuff.
Well,
I
good.
need
That makes me feel good that it wasn't a waste of your 30 minutes to
Not
come
at
down here and sit with me.
I actually put together little things so they can take away
look at
right
you.
now. So on the front is kind of what I went over, and on the back is a place for you to write everything.
There you go.
Isn't that
You're
adorable?
so
Lips.
great.
I love it.
Just trying to help out.
Anything that you want me to
No,
hit that Katie that we
I
haven't?
just want to make sure like I am definitely revisiting their why, and then on top of it, number 3, we talked about being accountable to yourself, but then I too am going to ask you, can I hold you accountable? So that has to be something that you're okay with because it's your why, it's your business, and if I can help you by holding you accountable, I will, but that has to be on you. You're the one that has to give me the A-okay to do it.
I wanted to have a Wednesday.
So I have a couple of coaches that, like, talking to them on a deeper level like this is like completely like there's you can't go there. So how do you get through like the shallow whys when they like don't like my one coach like literally like I don't even know if she has a real why. Like I think she's just doing this just because like it's fun. I told her to sometimes because like I don't know, and I know she really wants it, and like she is doing it, and like she's trying really hard, but like that conversation is just like so awkward, even though we're friends.
So one of the things that I'm actually kind of thinking, one of the things that's unique about you compared to some of these other coaches. Sorry, I don't want to highlight anyone, but just hearing you talk for a little bit, you take a little bit of different approach. It's similar in some ways, but it's unique to you from your no, not at all. Your approach is very much how do I say it? You're very direct, which is good. Okay, it's not bad. Again, there's not guys. We're all different people, right? That's what I'm saying. And you're going to attract people to your business who tend to be kind of more cut and dried. I don't really want to get into the whole emotion side of it and things like that. You're learning to be, I can tell by being a little bit more vulnerable and opening yourself up because you're surrounded by people who do it. And it's not something that probably comes to you naturally. And one of the things that when I work with people like you that I look for is the first thing you need to understand is that there's nothing wrong with the way that you approach the business. Just because that you don't come out with your emotions on your sleeve doesn't mean you're less effective at it. And never apologize for that part of your personality. Because there's elements of your personality that these guys are all sitting there going, I wish I could be like that. Okay? Which is that direct kind of look. It's cut and dried for you. For you, there's not emotion isn't in the muddy waters a lot. Like the personality like it's like, look, I'm either in. If I'm in, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And if I'm not in, I'm not going to do it. Right? Now, having said that, so what I'm saying is, don't ever apologize for that. Leverage that. Tell people that. Even when you have people that you have a hard time connecting with, which will probably be some of the issues because when they have to deal with the emotional side, you're like, how do I do it? Just do it. If you're going to do it, then do it. When you run into the big challenge for you and your leadership part is to be able to talk to people who kind of wear their emotions on their sleeve and just tell them, say, hey, look, one of the things you get my benefits from working with me is I'm going to help make sense out of the chaos. I'm going to show you how A and B connect and why that leads to C, and I'm going to lay out a game plan for you because that's how I think, and you're going to kick butt and take names. Okay. Now, one of the areas that I'm working on myself is understanding you. And I want you to know that when I'm going A plus B equals C for you, that's how I'm showing you that I care about you. Because that's how I know to do that, right? And sometimes that overt. Now, this all relates to your question. Okay? When you're talking to somebody who is a little bit like you, who maybe has some shells before their vulnerabilities, right? And they just like, I don't like going there. I don't like feeling that way. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. There is, you can give them permission to not vocalize their why to you. Because sometimes they're not at a point in their own development where they're comfortable doing that. Yeah. What you do is you tell them what it looks like, okay? And that's the reason why I started off saying there's an emotion tied to it. And a lot of times for those people, you have to give them examples of effective whys so they'll know what it looks like when it gets there. And then you invite them to say, hey, look, and if you feel comfortable, I would love to know what that is because that will help me help you. Or help me coach you better. And so sometimes ways that I've done it in the past is I will find something that I know that they're passionate about or that they care about, but that's not directly related to them. Because usually those people, when it's like, what are you passionate about? Like, oh, barrier, wall. You're not going to get in this little fortress I built, right? And so I will find out, like, maybe it's a cause, or it's their kids, or it's something that they're passionate about that's not directly related to them. And I'll say, well, tell me about that. Why does that cause matter to you? What does that do for you? And what is that about? And they kind of get, if they're passionate about it, they'll talk about it. They want to get it out. And usually that will give them a little bit of a crack that you can say, oh man, okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So let's think about your Beachbody classes. What's something about that ties in that way? And sometimes that'll let you in. Like I said, the lady that was down in Florida, I just had a bitch ask me what pisses you off about it. I mean, everyone's a little bit different. But generally speaking, I think if you kind of paint the destination you're trying to go, so they know what that looks like, and encourage them to get there, I think cool.
Sarah asked too on there, but it kind of connected to what you just said to Michaeline. She asked about like how to dig for a deeper why.
Yeah.
It's just about asking questions,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
getting more facts. So, yeah.
Sorry, hold on a second.
It's really rude, Kim. How dare you?
No, it's got like 10. Everyone's freaking out today, so everyone's like, oh my god, oh my god! So I'm just trying
You
to
know
make
who's
sure that
not freaking out right now?
um,
You know who's not freaking out? Boom! You know why? Because they rock. That's what it is.
All right, any other questions or anything, you guys? I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I really do. And you'll see us more often. Alex and I will be up here every couple months.